are live. I'm sorry I am a little late. I planned on going on about 3 o'clock, but I had some things on the stove, so I didn't want to interrupt the live to, constantly check on that. So I decided to go ahead and just finish that up and then come live. I started dinner a little early because I have some classes online that I'm taking, so I wanted to get dinner ready. That way everything will be ready to go by the time I have to jump onto my classes, right? Before I jump into what we're going to talk about today, which is the freedom that health brings, I want to talk a little bit about the group. I know you've probably heard me mention the group called Lead Your Health. It is a part of the Beating Autoimmunity the Natural Way, or Beating Lupus the Natural Way, whichever name you know this particular page by. Well, there is a group called Lead Your Health. And hi, Miss Nancy. It's good to see you. And if you'd like to be a part of that group, within that group we go into a little bit more detail and a lot more depth concerning some of the topics that I discuss here in the live stream. So if you'd like to be a part of that group, just simply click on the link and request to be a part of it, and I will go ahead and have you join. But for today, what we're going to talk about is the freedom that health brings. And you're probably wondering, what does that mean? And in a nutshell, it basically means that you've heard the saying, when you have your health, you have everything, right? You can be a wealthy person, you get sick and you can't have any fun. The story is told about the rich man lying on the bed, and at the end of his life, it's like the one thing that he wishes that he had was his health, because he can't really do anything with the money. He can't take the money with him. He can just basically give it away to his family, or leave it in his will to whoever he desires to leave it to. But the saying is, when you have your health, you have everything, right? Because health, it remains at the heart of your ability to serve your family, to serve your community, to serve whatever relationships you might be in, to basically kind of serve yourself. When you don't have your health, you're very, very limited in the way that you can serve. So I made a couple points I wanted to share with you. Your health is the foundation for you to be able to do your job, right? For those of you who have jobs outside the home, that remains the foundation. Your health remains the foundation for you to be able to do your job. I remember when I first got diagnosed many years ago, after a while it just got really hard to work. I was a full-time art and sculpture teacher. I was teaching middle school. I think I was actually teaching about 6 classes a day, because I was also teaching a high school sculpture class, and I loved my job. But when I got really sick, to the point where it was just, I would go home at the end of the day and I would literally crash. I wasn't really good for anything. And then I went down to part-time to be able to at least give myself some time to recuperate after teaching a couple classes, and still be able to take care of my kids. That was a little better, but then it got to a point where I really couldn't even work at all, and I ended up having to quit my job, which kind of, all of that kind of led me on a whole other direction with learning about herbalism and aromatherapy and all of that stuff, which did kind of guide me to where I am and what I'm doing right now. So in a sense, it was good, but at the same time, it was my lack of health that caused me to be able to have to quit my job, because I couldn't function at what I was doing to the ability, to the extent that I really wanted to. So when you have any kind of chronic illness and you have to constantly call out from work, or you're homesick a lot of the time, then you understand what I'm talking about, right? Health is also the foundation for your dreams. If you have all of these big dreams for yourself, big dreams for your life, big dreams for your kids, for your grandchildren, because of a legacy that you want to leave, when you don't have your health, it's really hard to be able to do that, right? Because you really to leave a legacy of illness and chronic disease and that sort of thing. That's not the type of legacy that we're talking about. We're talking about leaving a legacy of wealth, and whether that be money or whether that be health. That's the kind of legacy that you want to leave, right? What about running through the park with the kids? When you don't have your health, it's really hard to do that. And I'm speaking from personal experience, watching my kids playing in the front yard and not be able to be out there hanging out with them and just having fun, right? So you're very limited as to the type of things you can do whenever chronic illness or any kind of illness is a part of your life. Kicking the soccer ball around, that's one of the things I love to do with my kids. And I'm at the point now where I'm able to, run a few miles on the treadmill, go running on the beach, playing around on the beach, going to the park, throwing the ball around, kicking the ball around. So being where I am today, gosh, it's 1,000% better than I was about 6 or 7 years ago. What about just setting the table for your family? I know that sometimes when you have something like lupus, it causes arthritis in your joints, right? And it's really hard. It can be really hard at times to grasp onto things. To give you an example, with this cup, I remember not being able to hold onto cups. I remember dropping a lot of cups and breaking them to the point where I actually started to keep some plasticware in my home. And I hate plastic. I don't like plastic. But I remember, because I was dropping so many things and breaking so many things at the time, I ended up having a lot of plastic in the home. And sometimes I wasn't even able to close my hands because my joints were so swollen at the time. But now that's not a problem at all, because I've gotten the inflammation under control and I've gotten pretty much the lupus under control. So here I am. So being able to set the table for your family, I know that might not seem like a big deal to a lot of you, but to people who have, really achy joints, not being able to stand up for long periods of time, not being able to reach, not being able to grasp onto things, that can be a huge deal. What about just standing in the kitchen cooking? I mentioned at the beginning that I was preparing dinner a little bit early because I had some classes that are coming up later on this evening, and I wanted to make sure that I got that taken care of. That was such a challenge for me at one time, and it was a good thing that I had quite a few friends. One girl in particular, Miss Charmaine, if you're watching, she was a lifesaver when it came to cooking, because she was one of the a good friend, but she was also a Jamaican friend who knew how to cook, and another friend, Bona. Those two ladies, I'm telling you, when it comes to cooking, they really helped out on the days that I could not stand up in the kitchen and cook. So little things, just like being able to prepare a meal for your family, you're not having proper health can seriously impact something as simple as that, right? What about studying? Just trying to take some classes online. For me, that was actually the time that I really dove into learning a lot, because I was using the research that I was gaining to help me to heal. So everything I was learning about aromatherapy, different essential oils, different herbs, those are things that was actually helping me. With my knowledge, I then went on to become certified as an herbalist, and I continued that certification until I got my master herbalist certification last December 2019. So everything that I was actually working on and learning did contribute to a certification at some point, but it was not an easy journey, because you can imagine trying to take classes online when you're not feeling well. And now I'm still taking classes, but it's a whole different mindset. It's a whole different environment, whole different situation for me, because I am now healthy. But when you are trying to study in a condition or a situation when you're ill, that makes it even harder. What about trying to build a business? Now, granted, the fact that I've journeyed through all of the illness, I can now build a business on the fact that I've regained my health, and my story becomes part of part of my business. But you can tell, it's hard when if you're sick trying to build a business, right? Even when your story becomes part of it, sometimes it can be a challenge. But right now, that is what I'm trying to share with you, is that when you don't have your health, it hinders so many different things. And if you're trying to build a business from scratch, forget that, whether your business is going to be the whole idea that you were ill and you journeyed throughout, you got healthy. If that is not, if you're trying to build a different type of business and from scratch, and you're constantly sick, it makes it even harder for you to get that business rolling like you really want to, right? So it does, not having your health is such a hindrance whenever you're trying to do just and that to me is a huge thing. Trying to build a business, that is huge. But simple things like I mentioned before, when you don't have your health, it can definitely be, a deterrent, or a challenge, I should say. Here's one. I mentioned earlier that at one point I couldn't even hold a glass in my hand. So something as simple as holding a cup of coffee, right? When you don't have your health and you have arthritis in your hands or in your fingers, and you're trying to grasp onto that cup of coffee, or being able to just pour a cup. I love having my tea in a teapot, and to me, that's just me, just being fancy and all. I like to be able to pour my tea into my teacup. And when your hands are achy, that is the hardest thing to do, is to try to lift up that teapot or even lift up a coffee mug, right? So just little things like that, they mean just so much whenever you have your health. Enjoying a brisk walk. I mentioned earlier that actually today I did 5 miles on the treadmill. I was listening to a friend, Stephanie, doing a little money talk earlier. So I was listening to her, and I managed to make it through about 4 miles while I was watching her live stream. And then I was just so pumped at what she was saying. I continued for another mile, and then I got off of that and went in and continued doing some work before I went ahead and got a shower and, got rolling with everything else. But it was, when you have your health, you can exercise. You can do whatever kind of exercise that you want, And that to me was just so energizing, being able to get hi, Mrs. Murphy, to be able to get on the treadmill in the morning and be able to do that little bit of exercise. I mentioned in a previous live stream that I got to a point where I wasn't able to do any kind of exercise. Walking down to a mailbox was a challenge. Back and forth to the mailbox, that was difficult. There was a point where I was using a cane, I was using a walker. I had to use a motorized chair whenever I was going grocery shopping. But now I'm running 5 miles, or walk, jog on the 5 miles on the treadmill. And I did manage to get back into training in Taekwondo. I posted a video earlier of, I think that was about 4 years ago. I really wasn't feeling that great that day, but I decided I was going to go to class anyway, because my son was also training and I didn't want to just sit at home. So I ended up taking him to class, and I got involved in the class. And that particular day was the testing for physical fitness, because we were going to be testing for the next rank. And part of the training, you can go back and watch the video, or I can post the video in the comments below. But part of it was getting, I guess for lack of a better word, or way of saying it's getting karate chopped in your stomach as you're doing little sit-ups. And you can tell that these are not fake. You can hear the sound of the karate chop as the other instructor's hands hit my stomach. So I ended up having to do that, and I did a host of other types of exercise, ranging from sit-ups and push-ups, and I think we ended up having to do like a 1 mile jog inside and a bunch of other things. But it took me a while to be able to get to that point, and I continued training. And now I'm doing, I couldn't tell you that I would be able to do 5 miles about 5 years ago. There was just no way. There's just no way I would be able to run that 5 miles. But I got my health under control. I decided, I made up my mind I was going to beat lupus. Forget about what all the doctors were saying, because I just didn't agree with what they were saying. I didn't agree with the words that they were speaking over my life, and I decided I'm going to take matters into my own hands, and I am going to beat this illness, and I am going to take my health back. And that's exactly what I did. So I want you to add in your own. What does health freedom mean for you? I mentioned simple things as just taking a walk. Maybe kicking a ball around with your kids or your grandkids. If I have a granddaughter, and that's the most fun in the world, is to go down to the park and just run around with her, and just simple things like that. If I were to go back, if she was born 8 years ago, it's something I would not have been able to do, right? So think about it and add them in the chat if you want to. What does freedom of health bring for you? Share them with me in the chat. And while you're doing that, next week I am going to have a special guest on next Monday. Her name is Tara Bush, and she has her own health freedom story that she's going to be sharing with you. She's actually a certified diabetic educator and a certified life coach. And she has, I think she's the owner of the program called For the Health of It Cayman. And when I said Cayman, I'm talking about the Cayman Islands, which is where she is from, and I think that's where she's still located. I'm not going to give you too much details about what's coming, but I'm going to tell you this, that you don't want to miss it. I've listened to her on another platform, The Purpose Driven Life, and she has an amazing story to share with you. So Monday at 3 o'clock, we've got it scheduled in for that time. So it will be Monday at 3 o'clock. I was trying to get her here tomorrow, but she had some other things that's going on. But she's going to be talking about emotional eating. That's just one of the things that she'll talk about, and what drives emotional eating, especially in this time and age where so many of us have been cooped up in the home for long periods of time. We hear about the pandemic pounds that people are putting on, or the quarantine 15, whatever terms that you have put on that. Well, she's going to talk about the what drives that kind of eating, the whole emotional eating that causes people to kind of go towards food in times like these, right? So come back on Monday, 3 o'clock Eastern time, and Tara Bush is going to be here, certified diabetic educator. So if that is one of the challenges for you is diabetes, you're going to want to be here for that. But she's also a certified life coach, and her program is called For the Health of It Cayman Islands. So if you want to go ahead and look up that, it's on Facebook, and then you can kind of follow it and gain some wisdom from her page as well. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Don't forget that the Lead Your Health group is there. I'd go into a little bit more detail in the group. We dive a little bit deeper, so if you want to go ahead and join that group, it is there. There are a couple questions to answer before your request is going to be accepted, but they're rather simple. It is a no judgment zone, because the people who do join, they do have their own health concerns that they're dealing with. Everyone who's in there is either dealing with their own health concerns or is taking care of someone who is dealing with a particular health concern. So there is a no judgment zone, and we all learn from each other. I post videos in there. I come live on that platform as well. So if you're interested in that, the Lead Your Health group is always available. I'm going to go ahead and stop here. Thank you so much for those of you who did show up and watched for these few minutes. Don't forget, Monday, Tara Bush will be here, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, I always appreciate those of you who do attend these live streams. And just, oh, I did forget something. Yes, one more thing. I've had several people ask me, and here as well as other platforms, what do you use on your skin? And I think I've mentioned it here before. So I've shared it before. This is an essential oil blend that I've been using on my skin for the last 7 or 8 years. I did mention that lupus tried to do a number on my skin, especially my face, and I did a lot of research into different essential oils that are really good for the skin, that are good for scarring and fine lines and wrinkles. Can't forget that. But I really created it because of the scarring that was occurring because of the lupus rash that I was getting frequently on my face. So this is the blend that particular one is geared towards my skin. I have created blends for other people. There was a lady who came to me and she had just had some surgery and knew that there was going to be a little bit of scarring. So before the surgery took place, I created a blend for her with 90% of the essential oils that are in my blend, and then I added a few specific essential oils that would take care of some scarring concerns that she had. So if you're interested in this particular blend, what I would do is I would custom blend something specifically for you. There are some essential oils that will be the base, and then if there's certain concerns that you may have, such as scarring, maybe you have, like I mentioned, the tiny lines and wrinkles, maybe you have some acne concerns on there, I can also add in some essential oils that will help with those particular concerns specifically for you. All right, so if you do have if you are interested in this in the blend for your skin, just go ahead and shoot me a message, and then I will get that rolling for you. The payment can simply be done through PayPal. If you're overseas, I'm not sure where's open. I'm guessing that most airlines are flying now. If you're in the Cayman Islands, because I know there are a couple people in the Cayman Islands that were interested. So if there are flights taking place, we'll find a way. Or I can go ahead and create it and just have it, have it sitting so that whenever the airlines and the airports do open, that it will be shipped out quickly. So for those of you who are interested in that particular blend or having me custom blend something for you for your skin, then just shoot me a message and I will get back to you. We can talk about that. All right, so I think that is it. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending these few minutes with me. I hope that what I shared was helpful. And again, don't forget, Monday 3 p.m. Tara Bush will be here for the health of its Cayman Islands, and we will be having a discussion. Again, we'll be continuing this discussion today with about the freedom that health brings. That will be continued on Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time with Tara Bush. Thank you again for being here.